Hello AM community, welcome back to another HelpX video. In today's video, we're going to go through how to create a login component for Experience Manager. In this video, we're going to create a login component for the fictional toy store sample site. So let's take a look at how this works. We're going to access the toy store using an URL. However, since it's protected with a login page, what should display when we enter this URL, which is content Summit Toys EN on publisher, notice that we have 4503, is we should be presented with a login page. So here we can see it's asking us to enter in a username and password. So we will enter in our standard username and then password. And then when we click sign in, we should be redirected to the login page. And there we go. We can see that now we've got the login, the toy store. So this is the objective of this article here, creating a login component for the Experience Manager toy store. We're going to step through all the steps in this video to how this works and then how to create this from scratch. So the first part of this article, it's asking you to download Bootstrap files, and what we're doing with Bootstrap is we're going to put them into a client lib. So let's take a look at author. We can see that underneath etc, underneath client libs, we have a new client directory here called Boot Foundation. Notice that the categories property is Summit Boot Foundation as specified here. And then within this client library, we have CSS files, which is Bootstrap theme main CSS, Bootstrap main CSS, and then Bootstrap main CSS map. And then underneath the JS file, we have the Bootstrap main JS. So what we want to do is download from the Bootstrap site and then create a client library, exactly as shown here. We switch over to the article. It's going to describe how to do all this. So we scroll down here, create an Experience Manager client library folder. So we can see that we have the screenshot, and then we have the procedure here. So once you've followed this, these steps, you will end up with the Bootstrap Boot Foundation client library. So the next part, we're going to create a component using HTML. So we switch back to our CRXDA Lite here. We go underneath Apps, Toy Store. Underneath components, we can take a look at our login component. Here we see that we have a script login HTML. So when you first make it, by default it'll be JSP. So all you need to do is right click on the file and then choose rename and then rename it to HTML. This is mentioned in the article. And then once we do that, we can see that we have HTML syntax. So it's basically just a form that we have where we're entering in a username and password. We've got down here a div that's got a remember me checkbox. You can see here it's just standard HTML. And then what's really important to notice about this though is we have this div here, and we're doing a post using page properties homepage, and then we're to make sure it works. That is to make sure it's posting to the AEM security servlet. We've got to make sure that we have /j security check. Now, heading back to the article, scrolling down, this is the procedure for the creating the dialog and so forth. But one thing I want to point out, if you want to know more information about that J security check, we talk about it here in this Ask the Experts webinar. So if you're not very familiar with it, I recommend that you watch this. This is done by Justin, one of our AM experts within Adobe, and this is an excellent AM Ask the Experts webinar to watch. So at this point, we should be at this section of the article. What we want to do is when we install the Summit Toys package, that it's a prerequisite as specified at the beginning of this article. We already have this Summit Toys client libraries. That's located here, etc client lib Summit Toys. So we just switch over to CRXDA Lite. We can find that. So what we want to do is in the JS folder, we want to put in login.js. Now this is responsible for the functionality of the login component. A couple things to note here is, notice here on line 37 we have a get redirect path function. And what's happening here is we're going to specify the page to load when the authentication is successful. So in this case, we're loading content summit toys en. So once again, if they specify the correct username and password and that's a successful authentication, AM is going to redirect to this page. And this is what we saw at the beginning of this video. A couple other things to notice here. We've got some cookie functionality here that's going to be used for the remember me functionality. We've got some error handling here, so if they specify an invalid username or password, we're going to be saying invalid username password here. And finally, down here, we're just doing a bit of password validation on line 78. So it's very important that you understand this code and then how this relates to the login component. It's really the application logic that drives the functionality of it. Now what we want to do is we want to create the actual login page. So following this article, we're going to create just a simple login component underneath app toys. So the standard, I'm not going to really go too much detail. We've covered how to create templates in many videos and articles. Then we're going to create a login page based on that component. So this is interesting. What we need to know here that now once we create the page rendering component, so we'll switch over that. And we'll open up the page rendering component. What we want to do is we want to make a reference to the login component, and we're doing that by specifying the resource type apps summit toys components login. And so this is going to load up the login component that we've created, and then of course it's going to then pull in the theme and styling that we've got from the Bootstrap. So then when we open it up, we'll see that we have the blue background. We'll put it in preview. Notice how the sign in button kind of reacts when we scroll over it with the mouse. We've got the remember me username password. Now if we go back to edit, we can take a look at the dialog that we've created. So this part of the article, we've created our login component, we've created our page, we've updated our client libraries. So we're ready to really bring it all together. And how login works with AM is we've got to specify a closed user group. Now, a closed user group is a group whose members can access the page. And how you do this is we're modifying some page properties. So what we want to do is we want to navigate to the to our site, our main page, which is English. We want to click properties. And then we want to go to the Advanced tab. We scroll underneath. There's a couple things to note here that we want to click Authentications Required, click the Enable checkbox, and then click the Login page. Under the Login page field, specify the location of our login page. So here it's Content, Summit Toys, New Log. So if we look under Content, we can see under Summit Toys, we have new log here. So make sure that it's a sibling of our main site, because if it's underneath the main site, it's not going to be accessible, because anything underneath EN is going to require authentication. So we want to put the login page as a sibling for the main site. Now we switch to the permission tab of the page, and then notice that under closed user group we have Toy Store. To modify that or to change it, all we're doing here, you can see we've clicked edit close user group. Then we'll enter in the name of our, you can see that Toy Store pops up. So make sure that we have that, and then all members of Toy Store will be able to access the Toy Store. So what we're going to do now is enter the URL for the Toy Store unpublished. Notice it's 4503. Try to access the site. Now notice that we've got a redirect to the login page, which is exactly what should happen. So we open, we specify Joe B, and then hit sign in. It'll redirect to the Toy Store site. So before we conclude this video, there's a few things to note. First thing is, if you don't know how to create a group and a user and so forth, see this documentation that we cross-referenced in the article. So this is the AM product docs. It's going to tell you how to create a closed user group, how to add members to it, and so forth. And then secondly, like I said, make sure if you want more information that you're going to watch this Ask the Expert session on the theory of how AM works with the default servlet and so forth. It's really good information to understand. And lastly, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. I hope it's helped, and thank you very much for watching.